We are proud to have 18 lots of silver from the church in Dorchester. These comprise beakers, tankards, a pair of standing cups, one two-handled cup, and a baptismal basin. The only source for these kind of really early pieces are church collections. It's almost impossible to find these in private homes. So it's a very exciting thing that these should come on the market.
The first parish church in Dorchester was the place in the mid-1630s where the first town meeting was held. It's one of the 5 founding churches of Harvard. People in this congregation founded the Mather School, which is the elementary school next door that is the first public elementary school in the country. Dorchester is one of the most diverse populations, and yet it also has a certain amount of violence and poverty. Dorchester was very deeply affected by the busing crisis in the 70s and 80s. A lot of people fled and moved out of town, and the congregation started to dwindle and became very small over the years.
And as a result, the building was falling into disrepair.
We've got quite a large building here, and sits on top of a hill where it gets all the wind, rain, snow, all the effects of the weather. And we recently had an architectural firm do a complete assessment of the building and discovered that it would take $5.2 million to update it, to add an elevator, more bathrooms, other things to bring it up to code. Dorchester as a community and this congregation are experiencing a resurgence now, and so we are getting more and more involved in providing space for different groups to come together, kind of the old Puritan ideal of the meeting house.
We started learning about our silver and thinking about the decision that the congregation was going to need to make about whether or not to sell the silver in one way or another.
So we had to go through some soul searching is probably the best way to look at it. And we did have a congregational meeting earlier in the year, and we did vote to sell the silver. We have not really been using the silver for most of the last century. It was in storage at the Museum of Fine Arts.
Church silver has 2 special benefits for a collector. One, it's going to be very carefully looked after over the years. And secondly, it is an implicit guarantee of authenticity.
The centerpiece of the collection is a pair of beautiful standing cups.
This is the full coat of arms of the donor, Governor William Stoughton. Stoughton is a fascinating character. He was the judge and presided over the famous witches' trial in Salem in 1692. The cups are engraved underneath the rim of the foot with this dedication to the church, and that's in Latin. These beakers, a pair of beakers, they're by the partnership of John Hull and Robert Sanderson. These are really the first makers of colonial silver whose work survives.
We need to get the building back in shape so we can continue to be a beacon of the community. So we need to make it attractive, we need to make it functional and utilitarian.
And the idea that these bequests sort of reached across time to help us with getting ourselves back now.
These things are incredibly rare, and of course they're filled with history and tell us a lot about the very tentative start of the colonies. I think it stacks up though with the Church of the Presidents in Quincy and also a church in Connecticut, the Milford Church, both of which we sold, one in 2001, the other in 2005. And it has all the greats. It has great objects and all the great makers.